First, I was wondering about the Bocuse d'Or directly. Do you think I'm kind of pondering this chicken or egg question on it? Is it when Bocuse came to you and to you and Danielle? I'm sorry. um, do you think this was something where European chefs are finally starting to recognize American chefs as a force to be reckoned with, or do you think it was sort of something that wanted to boost Americans more in the eyes of the world?
Well, I think the whole European chef recognizing American chefs is a little bit overemphasized. I think the European chefs have been recognizing American chefs for decades.
I'm going back 20,
Yeah,
25
no, and
years
I
when
think
I first got into the
right.
business, where it was a little bit of a
They're certainly with any up and coming culture or society that starts to really take its culinary culture seriously again. Um, there's a little bit of looking over the back of your shoulder, and that's normal. I mean, whether it's Spain or whether it's America or whether it's Japan or Australia. I mean, Japan has the most Michelin stars in the world.
yeah, true.
So I think that there's respect, certainly all over the world for what chefs are doing everywhere, not just in America. And France has always been a place that, certainly from my point of view, that I've always looked to for kind of that mentorship and that kind of leadership that I appreciate and still find to be very important and alive and well in France.
Yeah.
Um, in that alive and well in France. Forgive me if this perception is wrong, but it seems that the attitude, the European attitude in general, is far easier for a chef to make his name for himself, hang a plaque on a restaurant and say, "This is what I do. Come and eat my food." Um, it seems to be coming around in this country where it's finally making that transition from artisan to artiste, where more and more people are getting, the lucky few is growing to where um, they can actually take that same approach.
Sure.
Yourself included, Danielle included,
First generation, right?
more recently people like Grant Oshots, people like that. What do you really attribute that to, as far as how is that becoming more and more possible in this
Well, it's
country?
interesting because when you look back at our history, and it's very interesting because we certainly have a selective memory when it comes to it. But I mean, before World War II, this country is very very connected with the farmers. I mean,
Yeah, we lost
very
that a
very
bit too.
connected with the home, very very connected with great food. World War II came along, of course, changed the way our culture reacted, our society lived. After World War II, we had very convenience foods up until the 70s, really. And all of a sudden, people like Alice Waters, Joan Paladin said, wait a minute, we have to reconnect with the farm. And so if you think of, let's just say 1970 as the kickoff point for the second, or for the rebirth of culinary culture in America. I mean, we're only 38 years later. It's pretty extraordinary.
It took about 20 years for things to start catching
Yeah,
on after
it
that.
did. But you start to think about it. I mean, 75, 1980. I mean, 1980 was, things really started to explode, and of course, in the mid 80s. So when you think about it, my generation is the first generation of American chefs that really have taken that torch or those standards to another level and reconnected with our food culture. We were born in the midst of that convenience food era that we all lived through.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think what's happened in America in the past 25 or 30 years, as it relates to what's gone on in France or anywhere in Europe where there is such a heritage about food and such a love, and they didn't disconnect with food like we did here. It's extraordinary what we've done in 30 years.
Yeah, I still wish that something happened to Clarence Birdseye a long time ago. He was a local guy to Tampa, and but after culinary school, it still took me about and I was in Oregon at the point in time where the overabundance of quality ingredients was huge. It still took about 4 or 5 years after that to really start connecting with. I can go to this farmer and I can get this. I can go to this part of the time.
Right. So I mean, to have the recognition, the reputation that we hold today in the world, for this first single generation, it's pretty amazing. You look at look at other chefs, that in Europe who are generationally chefs. Their father was a chef, their father's father was a chef, the restaurant passed down from hand to hand, and all of a sudden, 2 generations later, 3 generations later, it's a 3-star restaurant. We have 3-star restaurants in less than a generation here, in one single generation, which is pretty.
It takes a lot of crafting, it takes a lot of backing, but
I think the most important thing that it takes is our guests who have become so sophisticated and have such a strong desire and are willing to support the chef.
That's what
That didn't happen before. So that's been a really key, significant change in the way we look at our chefs.
Yes.
And the way we support our chefs.
I go back 20 years ago when I said, "Mom, Dad, I'm going to culinary school."
What?
What?
What's that?
What?
What's that?
Don't you want to be a doctor or what? No, I want to cook.
Now, you were a student of Roland Hunnan's, right?
Yeah, Roland was on the board of directors of my culinary school at that point in time. So it's
Seattle?
it was in Portland. I think it was working with Mountain House Foods at the time, and that's kind of a.
Are we okay?
Yeah, I recognize one moment.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's been an amazing transition from where he was guiding the school. Now, years after school, I've started reading your books and going, "Oh, wait a minute now." Now his protege is starting to steer me indirectly, and this is
But that's normal. That's the way it happens.
I know we have a little bit of time, so if I might ask just one question, and I'm coming from a different perspective. I'm not a trained professional. I'm barely a journalist, but the one question I want to ask, without this sounding like, "Do you know you're so famous?" Let me pretend that. The audience, I'm a blogger, and the audience of my blog they're lines cooks. They're people who dream of eating at the French Laundry one day. They're people who hide cameras just to take one picture of their dinner at per se. And my question to you is, without it sounding this way, what does it mean to you to be so influential on this massive underground cult following? I guess it is.
Well, it's pretty scary. When you really think about it, if you are that influential, I go to work every day and I try to do a little better job than I did yesterday. Really, that's kind of been my, I guess, my direction for a long time. It's a huge sense of responsibility at the end of the day. I mean, that's the way I look at it. If people are looking to me for examples, then I really need to be careful. And that's all the time. And sometimes you just want to let your guard down. You just want to be whatever. But if I am that influential, people say that to me all the time. It's hard for me to embrace that. Number one, because it's a scary thing. But number two, then, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing to set the example? What am I saying? How am I acting with whatever I do? Because people are going to be looking at me going, okay, Thomas Keller's doing this. That must be the right way of doing things. And I don't always know the right way to do things. We're the first generations, as I said, of American chefs, and the first generations who had the opportunity that lies before us of opening multiple restaurants. How do you do that? How do you do that and maintain being a chef? Well, you really can't. And you have to transition at some point from being a chef to something else. Is that being a restaurateur? That's a hard thing to say because, for years, way back when, chefs and restaurateurs were always at each other. So to say I'm a restaurateur now, it's a little bit of a struggle. But I'm something. I'm rapidly becoming something other than a chef. And whatever that is, it needs to be something that I'm doing in a way that's going to have integrity and going to have a positive impact as much as I can plan for that. Because people are looking at me and saying, okay, what's Thomas Keller doing?
I guess we should wrap up.
Sorry to interrupt.